Area residents, if you live within a quarter of a mile of 163 Freeze, report to your basement till further notice.
Imagine getting that call on a Monday morning. Well, this morning, a community trying to answer a lot of leftover questions. Their neighbor threatened to kill and then burned his home to the ground. We're continuing to follow this story this morning, trying to answer all those questions for you.
We're tracking the investigation into why this man may have done this and what happens now. News 4's Anthony Kanji is live for you in the town of Tonawanda this morning. Anthony, you were on the scene, one of the first on the scene, in fact. What is it like out there today?
Well, there isn't anything left of Joe Hollywood's home. There is crime scene tape up. There is still a couple police officers here, I'm sure, just making sure that nobody tampers with this crime scene. But the home is completely gone. As you mentioned, there was just a lot of uncertainty yesterday. I got here about 9:30 yesterday. The house was completely burned up. Flames were just shooting up 20 feet in the air. But nobody knew where this man was or if he was going to fire on anyone. So it was definitely a tense situation that thankfully ended with just his death.
From the initial call, it sounded as if he was just determined to die today, one way or another. Gave her that indication and gave her an opportunity to leave the home is what it sounded like.
It was just after 9 a.m. yesterday when town of Tonawanda police were called by a distraught girlfriend.
She was stating that he's going to kill me, he's got a gun.
He was 60-year-old Joe Hollywood. Police responded to the burning home in full force on Freeze Road near Eggerts.
They all had guns drawn. There was probably 20 cops at least, if not more.
His girlfriend did get out unharmed, but the hours that followed affected the entire neighborhood. Police used the 911 system to call neighbors.
Area residents, if you live within a quarter of a mile of 163 Freeze, report to your basement till further notice.
Even 6 hours after the fire began, police had indication that Hollywood may have fled to a home nearby on Mayfield Avenue. The SWAT team searched that home as well. Local schools were told to keep children for an hour after dismissal until the neighborhood was safe. But shortly before 5 p.m., investigators found the body of Joe Hollywood in the basement of his burned out home.
Now, Hollywood's birth name was Joe Bernarski. He did later legally change his name to Joe Hollywood. He was also a graduate of Kenmore East High School. Not far from his home, it was actually the school that was actually shut down yesterday, too, when this situation was ongoing. Now, firefighters and police stayed well back, and that was part of the reason this took so long yesterday. Of course, we all remember what happened on in Webster on Christmas Eve a couple years ago, and firefighters say they definitely had that on their minds as well. That is the reason they let the home burn. Thankfully, they say this came to a good conclusion, that conclusion being that Joe Hollywood was the only person who died. We will have much more on that coming up in the next half hour of Wake Up. Reporting live in the town of Tonawanda, Anthony Kanji, News 4 Wake Up.